So without further ado, the name of this webinar is Get Juiced, and it's all about fasting and a history of fasting and the ultimate cleanse, really. I know a lot of people end up getting turned on to, health. A lot of times it's because, we're getting older. As we get older, we really start to think about our health because we're not in our, our teens anymore. We're not in our 20s anymore. And we start to think, wow, what I do definitely has an effect on how I feel. And that's typically what brings to people health. Other people just have a natural knack for wanting to be healthy, even from the time they're in their teenage years, etc. And so a lot of times when you really get into health, you look into what does it take to cleanse? What does it take to heal myself? And I would say that, I believe 99% of disease is literally two things. Number one, toxicity that's brought into our environment, meaning we've actually poisoned ourselves through the air, through the water, through the different dead drinks and things that are marketed out there, through the different foods and stuff that we're putting into our bodies. We've literally poisoned ourselves, chemical preservatives, hydrogenated oils, artificial sweeteners, artificial colors, absolutely are toxins and poisons. And if you've seen my other presentations, I prove it. I show the facts. This isn't just me saying this stuff. It's a fact that these things are toxic and known to cause cancer, psoriasis of the liver, diabetes, and all these things. So number one, disease comes from being poisoned, and cleansing is beautiful for getting rid of those toxins out of the body. And number two, it's lack of nutrition. And so if you're lacking nutrition in the building blocks of what your body needs, then your body can also, lose energy and start to have issues that take place. So to give you a little bit of history behind myself, just really quickly, when I was about 13 years old, I was raised with my mother in Spokane, Washington, and I lived a standard American diet. We call that a SAD diet. Standard American diet's pretty sad. It's a lot of meat, a lot of dead animals, a lot of artificial foods. I can tell you that most schools serve some pretty crap food, hamburgers and pizza, and it's mostly processed and who knows what kinds of additives. Soda pop, chocolate milk with loads of sugar and other types of things. And at the age of 13, I flew out to stay with my father. And my father, Don Tolman, had a 200-acre farm with peacocks and swans and ducks and ponds. And he was growing his own food and facilitating fasting. And there were people literally from around the world, mostly the United States, though, that had found out about my father and what he was doing. And these people had, stage 4 cancer. There was people with all different kinds of cancer, people with diabetes, all types of skin problems and diseases, and even Alzheimer's. There was even a man that came out there that had the AIDS virus. And I can tell you that all of these individuals that came to see my father and spend some significant amount of time with him experienced some drastic healing. And I can tell you that living with my father for one summer, my entire world was transformed. My entire belief system, the way that I viewed life, from living in a city and going to school every day to being out literally ingrained in nature and seeing the types of things and the way that my dad interacted with people and even his personal relationships absolutely shocked me. And it was one of the most beautiful experiences that I've had in my life. And it's affected my entire life up until even this day. So my father was facilitating these juice fasts, and people would come in for 7 days, if they needed it, 14 to 21 days. And some people would even come and stay for 30 plus days with my father. And I can tell you that I would meet these people, and a lot of times I actually believe these people that were coming were literally going to die on my father's property. It was so bad, literally hardly able to walk and move around and do specific things, just no light whatsoever. But I was intrigued by the fact that after a very short period of time of doing very specific daily rituals, waking up early in the morning and doing very specific things, within a very short period of time, you would see the light in these people turn on and you would see the transformation take place. And it was just a really beautiful experience. And so with that, going away from, my father and facilitating these juice fasts, I've just posted some of the pictures of the juice fasts. For many years, I traveled and did a lot of one-on-one work, and I traveled around the world working with different masters like Dr. Masaru Emoto, Dr. Kassar in Southern California, studying these people and working with them, like Dr. Gabriel Cousins and other, very progressive people. And I started to really pull together a lot of information to facilitate my own juice fasting experiences. And so these are just a few photos of some of the juice fasts that I facilitated up on the Sunshine Coast in Australia. I've taken groups in Cedar Creek, just inside of Brisbane. Again, I've worked with people, with weight problems, with diabetes. The gentleman in the lower right-hand corner, Steve, in this picture, had been diabetic for many years, literally stopped taking the medication, no longer had the symptoms of diabetes, and absolutely just working with people with cancer and different types of things, and just individuals that were wanting to fully just have more energy and learn about principles of health. So these last couple pictures I have in here are also some of the juice fasts that I've run in Bali. As you know, I live here in Bali, Indonesia, and it's just been a fantastic experience running these fasts, because it's been so much fun and there's so much connection. The way that it's facilitated and the way that we all do very specific things has just been transformational. And the beautiful thing about these juice fasts is people go home from these things, and I get emails and talk to them, weeks or even months later, and they're still doing the daily routines. They're still juicing. They have a new drive for health and life. And it's absolutely transformational. It actually sticks. And I know there's so many like diet programs. There's so many, different things that people get involved with, and they're fads, and they get on it and they get off it. And really, that's not what this is about. This is about an entire lifestyle change, because I believe that you are either healthy and exuberant and moving towards health, or you're experiencing some kinds of symptoms and they're getting worse and worse. And as you get older, things are getting worse. You're experiencing pain, low energy, mentally just, memories going, different things. You're either going uphill or downhill, and I really believe that it's all about lifestyle. This was the last event that I just ran here in Bali, the last juice fast. This is us sitting down on the beach. Every morning we'd go down and do sun gazing, play a crystal bowl, do a little bit of toning, a little meditation. It was really an amazing experience to connect with individuals. So with that, what I want to do is just give you a little bit of the history of where fasting comes from. And as you can see, this is kind of like a chart of evolution. Not saying that I believe in evolution whatsoever, but throughout thousands of years, fasting has been a part of every single mammal's DNA, literally a part of our blueprint. Whether it be a lion, a tiger, a bear, a giraffe, any type of mammal, typically, almost always, when an animal gets sick or when an animal injures itself, it will literally go into a natural stage of fasting. If you observe animals when they get sick, they stop eating. They'll literally find a stream or find a source of water and drink water and stop the process of eating until they recover. And literally for thousands of years, humans, when they get sick, have observed fasting. And by simply stopping the eating process, stopping putting stuff in, and just drinking water, it gives the body the time that it needs to heal itself. And as you can see in our modern day, in the year 2000, we have people that are morbidly obese, that would never even consider going even a day without eating. In fact, some people think that if they skip a couple of meals that they're going to fall over and die. And this simply is not the truth. Fasting has been happening, like I said, for thousands of years. And it's something that's been built into us so that, if we were out running, hunting for food, running from an animal, doing whatever, and injured ourselves, we have an innate ability to be able to drink water and simply rest, and the body heals itself. The actual healing process is expanded upon, literally enhanced, by not eating food. When we take in food, there's a lot of energy that is required to digest and break down that food. So when you stop eating, that same energy that would have been digesting food is literally taken and used for healing and repair and removal of toxicity, and the repair of literally tissue within the body. So, I talked a little bit before about fasting and individuals like Christ, and even Buddha and different individuals. Here's a few people. Pythagoras was known to fast. It's said that Pythagoras fasted 40 days and 40 nights before his examination at the Alexandria, at the University of Alexandria. Pythagoras also received his information of fasting from the Egyptians. And the Egyptians were well renowned for being the most clean of all societies. The Greeks actually really looked up to the Egyptians because of the fact that they believed that cleanliness was next to godliness. They purified their bodies, they kept their bodies clean. They would literally eliminate even the hair on their body. They would scrub themselves with very specific things to clean the skin. They were a very clean race. And it was believed that, just to wash yourself externally, take a shower, scrub yourself, wash yourself externally, but not wash yourself internally, was dumbfounding to them. The Egyptians taught that we needed to wash ourselves externally and internally. So when Pythagoras went to study, Pythagoras was one of the most brilliant intellectual people of his time. He was known as the father of numbers, a mathematician. He literally developed the seven octaves of music and created all kinds of beautiful things. But when he went to Egypt, he was actually refused. He was actually turned away and said, "Look, you are too much of an intellectual individual to understand the ways of the Egyptians." And he wanted so badly to learn with them that they said, "Go out and fast for 40 days and 40 nights, and then we will consider having you as a student." And that's exactly what he did. And if you look into what Pythagoras created, called the Pythagorean Academy, he required the same thing as of his students, to fast for a very specific period of time to cleanse the body internally, to be able to open up. And I find it interesting that a lot of people ask me about memory. Tyler, my memory's going bad. I feel like I have a cloud over my head. Mentally, I'm just not as with it as I used to be. And I know through personal experience with myself and many others that fasting absolutely clears that brain fog and absolutely enhances memory, and enhances mental abilities. The word memory, actually, the first part, mem, is a Hebrew word and literally means water. And the second part, ori, literally means light. So memory is a reflection of light off of water. And our brains house literally over a liter of water, and our brains are composed of water. And if that water is murky from the things that we're eating, the things that we're drinking, and it's toxic, it's like trying to look at a reflection in a mud puddle that's splashing around. And so fasting is like literally filtering the water, cleaning the water, and stilling the water so that light can reflect a perfect image off of it. And this is what happens with even our memory. People like Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, and others were known to fast, and they even said, to fast a day is better than medicine. And they were known to go for periods of 7 to 10 days of fasting to literally enhance themselves physically, spiritually, emotionally, and even mentally. I know a lot of people out there have heard of the Swiss physician Paracelsus. He lived in the 1600s and was a medical doctor, literally a chemist, brought a lot of really cool things to the medical community, but he also saw signs in nature. And he wrote a book called Signum Natura, which means signs found in nature. And he realized, from thousands of years even before, individuals taught that a carrot looks like your eye and is actually good for the eyes. A walnut looks just like the brain and is proven is good for your brain. A tomato looks like the heart, has four chambers, is one of the best foods for your heart. A celery is good for your bones, 21% sodium. Your bones are 21% sodium. Kidney beans are good for your kidneys. There's different types of herbs that look like different parts of the body that can be used to heal different things. And it's a beautiful thing, but he said that fasting is the greatest remedy. So he literally was a doctor and would travel around the most of the known world and literally push people to fast. And he found that every individual that was sick, when they took it upon themselves to do a fast, even a short fast, they would find health and vitality, and all of a sudden it would really change things around. So today, there's a lot of studies happening with fasting, and really the excitement and the buzz is really taking place within the medical community. There's a lot of interesting doctors from the biological medical facilities at Hull University, Chicago University, Hull Biological Laboratories. The doctors there have been, for the last 10, 20 plus years, they've been studying fasting and its effects on animals, its effect on microorganisms, its effect on DNA, its effect on cells, and they're calling it rejuvenescence. And they found that literally you can take human DNA, you can take cells, and literally through this process of fasting, taking away a fuel source, you can get them to live indefinitely. They're even taking single-celled amoebas that are taking complex type, even parasites and things. And what they're finding out is by feeding them, they live their normal life cycle. But when you take food away, even for a short period, the life cycle is extended. Then they've even gone to mice and to rats, and they'll take away food 1 day a week, and they'll notice that the mice and the rats will live literally another quarter of their lifespan. If they take food away 2 days a week, some of these mice and rats will even double the lifespan. So the individuals that are doing these studies, the doctors themselves, have actually started years ago, still doing that to this day. They've started fasting 2 days out of the week, literally not eating anything 2 days out of the week, and the rest of the week they're eating food just like they normally would, so that their whole life, their personal life as they age, can be an experiment. But I can tell you, I know because I see this stuff, that fasting has a profound effect. When you look at the picture on the left of the woman, looking like, a little bit of wrinkles going on, a little bit of stuff going on there, I can tell you I've seen this personally. And if you really look up Hippocrates, the one that said, "Let thy food be thy medicine," Hippocrates laid the foundation for modern medicine. And the way that he diagnosed sickness within people was through simply looking at the face. That was the first thing he would look at. People would walk into his office and he would see if there was bags under their eyes. The eyes represent the kidneys. So if you have lines under your eyes, if you have bags, if you have darkness taking place, that's showing you that you have toxicity of the kidneys. The kidneys are used for filtering the blood, which means your blood is probably acidic, toxic, has different things going on. Maybe you're not hydrated enough, but the kidneys are taxed. And so as we age, individuals start to get lines around their eyes. They start to get, wrinkles on the sides of their eyes and in different places. The skin starts to sag. All these different things start taking place. Maybe little age spots start to show up. Different things show up. And I can tell you, this is not aging. This is not because you're getting older. Most people discount it and say, "Oh, I got these wrinkles, got the stuff going on. I'm just getting older. There's nothing I can do about it." And I'm telling you right here, right now, that is BS. Absolutely, you can do something about it. And I have seen it. I've taken photos of people's faces, and after going through programs, some of my cleansing programs coming to my juice fast, their face is not the same. These wrinkles have the ability to go away. It's a sign of the internal organs. If your internal kidneys are toxic, your eyes are going to have bags. They're going to have wrinkles. They're going to have things showing up. As soon as you do kidney cleansing, you hydrate yourself and go through a process, those bags go away. The wrinkles go away, and you literally look years younger. I've been doing this long enough to know that you can absolutely look young. And if you want some proof, there's a woman by the name of Mimi Kirk, Mimikirk. She lives in Southern California. She's about 75 years young. And I say 75 years young because absolutely she's beautiful, doesn't have the wrinkles that most 75-year-olds would have, and she's still very attractive. And if you look at her lifestyle, the foods that she's eating and the things that she's doing, and even fasting, you'll see that that's definitely a part of her lifestyle. If you look back to the longest lived cultures on this planet, which are the Abkhazias of Russia, the Hunzas of Pakistan, Vilcabamba Valley, and a few other places, Okinawans. These are the longest lived cultures on the planet. And if you look at their lifestyle, and if you look at fasting within their culture, you will absolutely find out that there's very specific things they're doing to rejuvenate themselves, to live longer. And this isn't just about living to be 100 years old. Most people, who say, "Hey, do you want to live to 100?" Absolutely not, because by the time you're 100, if you're doing what you're doing, you'd probably be crippled and in really bad pain, and you probably wouldn't even want to live to be that long. What I'm saying is that if you're fasting and living a specific lifestyle, you will feel fantastic at 100. In fact, different National Geographic crews have gone to Abkhazia and to Hunza and have worked with and interviewed people that are in their 90s and even 100 years old. And these individuals hike down to the river every single day, down this pretty steep mountain cliff, hike back up. And even these young, you know, guys in their 20s, fairly fit National Geographic crews, are having a tough time keeping up with these guys in their 90s. So that just shows, lifestyle has everything to do with health, with energy, with how you feel right now. And I believe that right now you should have energy and feel fantastic and should be motivated and passionate. And all of these things have to do with what we're putting into our body. You see, we are electrical beings. And if we bring in electricity in its pure form, we have energy and we feel good. Electricity comes through breathing. Breathing deeply creates electricity within the body. Eating fresh raw fruits and vegetables creates electricity within the body. And when you are bringing these things in, you have the electricity, you have the energy to give back. So I just want to talk a little bit about this juicing thing and maybe, talk about some comparisons. A lot of people will ask me the question, "Hey, Tyler, if I want to do a juice fast, what kind of juicer should I use?" And I would say, if you can make juice, just make juice. And if you can make it and make fresh, awesome. But ultimately, there's ways to optimize the juice that you're making. A lot of people are familiar with these centrifugal juicers. And when you put fruit or vegetables through a centrifugal juicer, it's typically a metal plate with little sharp ridges in it, and it turns at very high speed. So we have, metal moving, and we have a high speed process that's putting a lot of air into it. And this is called the process of oxidization. So you're oxidizing the fruits and vegetables immediately, which means oxygen goes into every cell of the plant and it can break down some of the nutritional qualities. So it's not as fresh and not as good as a cold press situation. If you could take an apple and literally just squeeze it really hard and get the juice out, there's more nutritional qualities available than if you use a high speed oxygen process, if that makes sense. So I would say if you use a centrifugal juicer, just try to drink the juice right away as quickly as possible, because typically within the first 20 minutes to an hour, you're losing some of those properties. Within a couple of hours, you'll actually see everything separate, and the juice actually tastes quite a bit different. If you use a cold press juicer, on the other hand, the juice is a totally different color when it comes out. And you can literally let it sit for 6 hours and it doesn't separate. It doesn't do the same thing as like with a centrifugal juicer. So it's the cold press that uses, the Huron juicer that we sell has a ceramic corkscrew that slowly pulls it into there, cold presses it, and makes the most fabulous juice ever. And I would say if you could have any kind of juice side by side with these two juicers, you would absolutely taste and even feel the difference from this juicer. And again, the Huron is cheap. It's about $450. It's a little more than some of these, $150, $200 centrifugal juicers, but they have a huge warranty for 5 years. They're easy to clean. They're easy to use. It's the most amazing machine ever. You literally drop the fruit or the vegetables into it and it pulls it into itself. I know a lot of people that have spent over $1,000 on a juicer that's cold pressed, but they're spending a lot of time forcing the fruits and vegetables through it, It's a pain in the butt to clean. After about a month of having it, it sits on top of the refrigerator and they never use it again. So it's really important when you're buying the tools of health to get the ones that make it easy. When I say tools of health, everybody, uses tools for sickness. People that are sick and have a lifestyle that's creating, sickness, you have a microwave, you have certain types of fry cookers, you have a barbecue, you have all these tools that you use sometimes that aren't, deep fryers and all these types of things aren't really the best tools for health. So when you're going to move into a situation of wanting to modify your lifestyle, it's important to get the right tools. Chuck that microwave oven out, not doing you any good, irradiating your food, causing all kinds of problems, changing the DNA of the food. It's not even recognizable by your cells anymore. And replace that with a Huron juicer. Replace that with a blender or something that's going to help you to make smoothies or juices that are going to be healthy. And, people would ask me, hey, Tyler, fruits and vegetables have so much amazing fiber and healing qualities. Why would you ever get rid of that? Why don't you just put it in a blender and blend it? And I would say, I agree with you 100%. Fruits and vegetables have beautiful fibers. Fibers go throughout the body and they literally scrub the digestive system. They can move throughout different parts of the body and literally get rid of plaque from the body, which is really where disease comes from. So using a blender, having smoothies, absolutely fantastic. Using a blender is awesome. But if you're looking to do a fast is done for very specific reasons. And when you're fasting, the whole idea is to stop the digestive system from having to work, having to add, bile, add enzymes to the digestive system to break down all of this matter. Instead, you're eliminating all of the matter, all of the fiber, and taking in the pure micronutrients from the fruits and vegetables, still giving yourself all of the beautiful vitamins, minerals, electricity, and all these things from the juice without your body having to digest it. A lot of times energy just has to do with, the amount of work your body has to do to process food as composed to what type of energy it's actually giving the body. So let's say, a food gives the body a lot of energy, but it also takes a lot of energy to break it down. They can almost cancel each other out. So when we're eating foods, to eat something that's high energy but doesn't take a lot of energy to digest, that's when you start experiencing energy, vitality, and really feeling it. And so with the juices, you're absolutely stopping the digestive process from having to constantly work. And I can tell you, most people from the time they're born, or 1 to 2 years of age up until now, they've ate every single day and they've never given the digestive system a break. And this is really a sad thing. This is something that we haven't been taught typically in our society, to give the digestive system a break and give it time to reheal. Hippocrates would also look into the eyes and see very specific sickness happening with the organs. This is what I do as well. I look at the face. I've been trained in iridology, sclerology, face glyphics, and I can identify disease and even sickness happening within simply by looking it's into someone's eyes. And I can tell you about 90% of my clients have inflammation and toxicity of the digestive system. And with those 90% of the clients that I have, literally hundreds of people having issues, I've watched them start to cleanse the body with some of the products that I have: colon cleanse, pulse type food, which is a specific ratio of nuts and seeds and grains, and even taking them to the level of fasting, that inflammation starts to go away. I've even seen prolapse, which is a sagging of the colon, which means that it's dropping and having issues. Even ballooning and strictures, parts of the colon that literally have constricted together, making it hard to digest food. You see these people with these big solid stomachs, big stomach, and it's real hard and solid. That's an impacted colon. These are things that can be healed through fiber and then taken to the level of fasting and using juices and other things to get that digestive system healed and back to a place where it needs to be. So that's the difference. In my daily lifestyle, I love to have smoothies, but when I'm going to actually fast, which maybe, every couple of months, if I'm feeling it, I'll do a fast just to renew myself. I don't use any fibers at all. I juice. I go on water. I'll, use juices, do very specific things, and it's absolutely revitalizing. So that's the difference between the two. A lot of people would ask me, "Hey Tyler, what about the sugar? There's so much sugar in fruit. Oh my gosh, sugar, Tyler. Sugar causes candida. Sugar causes cancer. Sugar, sugar, sugar. Tyler, what do I do? Oh my gosh. The government tells me not to eat more than 2 pieces of fruit a day because there's so much sugar, and sugar's what causes disease." Give me a frickin' break. Please. Give me a break. There is no sugar in fruit. Period. Just so you guys know, there's no sugar in there. Sugar is something that's highly processed from the sugar cane, and it's these little crystals that have become acidic because they've been extracted from a raw plant. Yes, fruits have something called fructose, and the crystalline structure that is sweet is crystallized sun energy. When we eat fruits in their raw form, we are taking energy in its sweet crystallized form from the sun. People might think you might think I'm crazy, but when a plant grows, it has water and it has sunlight, and there's no sugar in the dirt. There's absolutely no sugar in the dirt. Okay? So when the sun shines on leaves from a plant, it takes that sun energy and converts it into a pure crystalline structure with vitamins, with minerals, with phytonutrients, and all of these things together are recognizable by the body as food. Absolutely as food. Fruit is one of the most abundant sources of food on the planet, and it's that way for a reason. Every person that I'm talking to right now, most of you, when you came into this world, the first thing you did was you sucked on a teat. And what drove you to suck on that teat was the sweetness that came from it. Sweetness from food is how we identify food. A baby, when it's young, will put everything into its mouth. Everything. And if it's sweet, it'll eat it and swallow it because it knows that it's food. Mother Nature does not lie to us. There's not a single food that is sweet naturally in nature on this planet that is also poisonous. It's the basic way to identify food. Fruit should be at a high level of intake of what we're bringing into our bodies. And vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains, all these things are food, but we need to get away from the belief that fruit is sugar and it's not good for us. The problem that's created is from fat. If you look at the fat content in all the longest lived cultures on the planet, you'll find that it's absolutely low, anywhere between 7 to 15% of their caloric intake. Longest lived cultures on the planet have the lowest intake of fat and the highest intake of fruit and carbohydrates from fruit and vegetables. If you look at the sickest nations on the planet, like the United States of America and even Australia and other Western type cultures, their amount of calories with fat are about 50 to 60%. So 5 to 10 times the amount of fat in the diet. And fat works as an insulator, and it literally coats the arteries, it coats the organs, so that when you are eating sugars from fruits, fructose, crystallized sun energy, it's hard for that sun energy to get into the cells, to nourish and get into the interstitial tissues because of the fat coating on your arteries. If you can imagine an artery, if you could take your two hands and make a big circle, act like that's your arteries, when fruit uploads into that, it travels through your bloodstream and uploads to give your muscles energy, to give your brain energy, to feed every cell of the human body. But with that circle, if you imagine, let's say you ate some chicken that day, some fried rice that day, anything high fat, then there's a light coating on your arteries. Then when you eat some fruit, the fructose cannot upload into the interstitial tissue the way that it should. So you have elevated blood sugar for a prolonged period of time, which is not healthy. Yes, it's the sugar that's in there that's causing it, but it's not the sugar's problem. It's the fat that caused it. So if we can lower our fat intake and literally start to eat fruits and vegetables, it changes almost immediately. People that have candida, people that have all types of different issues and problems, fat can be eliminated fairly quickly. If you start eating fruits like oranges, grapefruits, that emulsifies the fat within our bodies. Within 48 hours, the fat will be stripped out. Literally, fat will start to strip out. Somebody that has high blood pressure, atherosclerosis, different, fattening of the arteries and different problems with that, within 30 days of eating grapefruits, anybody, I promise you, if you have high blood pressure, any of these types of problems, start to hydrate yourself, eat a grapefruit every single day. Within 30 days, you will not have high blood pressure. Your blood pressure will regulate. You'll strip the fats out of your blood because the acids inside of grapefruits and other citrus emulsifies that fat out of the body. So what I recommend is going a couple of days of eating fresh fruits and then really looking at your diet and reducing the amount of fats that you have in your diet. And if you love just eating fat, then don't eat any fruit, just eat fats. But I promise you, if you're living that type of lifestyle, it will lead to problems. So, didn't mean to go off that much on that. I do want to open up and take some questions from you guys. So I'm just going to quickly get through the rest of my presentation, then we'll open up for some questions and answers. But what are the benefits of fasting? Fasting, as soon as you start to drink fresh squeezed juices, the different vibration of the color red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and even purple from these juices have the ability to literally cleanse the 7 different systems of the body. We have the muscle skeletal system, we have the digestive system, we have the lymphatic system, the circulatory system, and there's a great wisdom that's been passed down for thousands of years that shows us the different types of foods and their colors and how they affect detoxification of the body and even the rebuilding of cells within the body. So fasting, benefit, getting rid of toxicity. The cells open up and they start to release all the pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, toxic heavy metals that have gotten into our diet from the things that we're eating. And once you eliminate those things, you start to feel a lot better. Energy, usually used for digestion, is redirected to the immune function, to cell growth, and to the eliminatory process. So literally, you're building your immune system, you're regrowing the cells, you're doing beautiful things. The immune system is boosted. You lower fat in the body, so there's more oxygen that can get to the cells and to the tissue. Again, eliminating toxicity, physical awareness, sensitivity to diet and surrounding are increased. So you really start to become sensitive after a fast of the types of foods that really are good for you. Your palate changes, your taste buds, all of a sudden you'll be craving different things after a fast. Again, it's a great time to break bad habits. A lot of people have habits that they're doing every single day. Most people drink coffee every morning just to wake up. Some people can't even wake up without it. And a little bit of coffee I think is okay for some, but over time and different distance, people end up drinking 3, 4, 5 cups of coffee just to be able to get through the day. And this is absolutely a sign that your adrenal glands are burning out and that you need to fast. And fasting, yeah, you'll feel like crap for the first 2 to 3 days. You'll have a headache. You'll have detoxification symptoms from drinking coffee and eating types of foods that are toxic. But after that, after the initial detox, you'll really start to feel great. And then coming off of it and getting back into a healthier type of lifestyle, you'll feel fantastic. You'll never regret going through a fast. And as many people as I've taken through 7-day, 14, 21 days, and even 40 days of fasting, these people on their own have always come back to me and say, yeah, I just did another fast, and each time I feel clearer, I feel better. So it's really there's so many benefits, that come with fasting. Why should you fast? The loss of fat. I don't like to say weight loss because you can lose weight unhealthily as well. If you simply stop drinking fluids, you're going to lose weight. But losing fat is a totally different thing. And this is definitely something that exponentially happens through fasting. Preventing sickness. I believe that sickness is an accumulation of toxicity. And when your body gets to the point that it can't take any more, it causes sickness so that you stop eating. When we get sick, when you get the flu, when you get other things, you lose your appetite for a reason. It's your body saying, hey, I need to flu, I need to vent, I need to get this crap out of me, and I do not want to eat. Mental clarity that comes from it, elimination of parasites. I've worked with the world's leading parasitologists, and you would not believe how many people have parasites. And it's really hard to actually identify people with parasites. You could look perfectly healthy and have parasites. In fact, some people can eat tons and tons of food and not put on a single pound of weight. And there's a reason for that. And some of those reasons are parasites. And I can tell you, every single juice fast that I facilitated, there's been quite a few individuals in 7 days that have parasites come out. There's people that do my 4-day colon cleanse and end up eliminating masses of what are called roundworms, literally masses, like balls of these roundworms, massive parasites coming out of the body. And absolutely, that's what you need to be doing. A lot of times, low energy and fogginess of the brain and symptoms of pain and different things can be parasites in different parts of the body. Rebuilding the glands, cleaning the organs, repairing the digestive system, resetting your taste buds, breaking addictive habits, creating new habits, spiritual growth, and even self-reflection. These are the types of things that come from fasting. So, what is it about me? What is it that I have to offer with fasting? And, what I would say is that I've developed what I call the Tolman method of fasting. The reason that there's Stonehenge there is that used to be called the Tolman Memorial. It used to be called the Tolman. And if you look up a Tolman in an Old English Oxford dictionary, it says 2 pillars and a capstone. And it talks about Stonehenge. And Stonehenge, literally, my lineage, my family lineage for thousands of years was a place of healing. Close to there was called the Isles of Avalon, which were apple orchards. And they would take the apples and they would have people eat them and cleanse their bodies, and eventually they would juice them, and they would take people through the gateway of fasting, literally purifying and helping people to get back to a state of health. So I've developed a very specific system with fasting, very specific movements to do in the morning, very specific breathing exercises that energize you, that literally push this healing process to take place, that will give you energy so that you feel better during fasting. Very specific amounts of juice, very specific kinds of juices, very specific simple exercises to do that balance the entire endocrine system so that your body is communicating the way that it should. These are all different things that I've learned from different ancient cultures, from different gurus that I've worked with from around the world. Skin and body cleaning. Your skin is 7 layers of epidermis. Just using soap does not clean that out. The Egyptians for thousands of years would use very specific things that you could literally buy at the store, you probably have in your own home, to open up those 7 layers of epidermis so that it cleans out. Most people that go out and they burn in the sun, they're not burning because of being in the sun. They're burning because of the toxicity that exists in that 7 layers of skin. And once you do this process called gua sha and use very specific tools that you probably have in your home anyway to clean your body, it is amazing how the skin opens up and starts to breathe. And in fact, your skin is almost exactly like the liver in the sense that it's constantly cleaning out your body. And most people's liver and skin is full of all types of yeast, mold, fungus, parasites, petrochemicals, and things that it's not operating the way that it should. And I know that once you start this skin cleaning process, your skin really opens up and it feels amazing, and all of a sudden toxicity can leave. And even going out into the sun, you don't burn the way that you did before. You can actually get a tan. I've worked with people even with red hair, really fair skin, with this skin cleaning process in Australia, and now they can go out in the sun 3-4 hours at a time and actually have a tan simply through cleaning the skin. There's other things that I'll be sharing about sunshine and passion and stress for this Tolman method of fasting. I believe there needs to be a very specific environment that's created and specific things that you do to enhance this cleansing process.